Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shalom.
Father, y'all, we come before you right now. Just thank you right now for this day that you have made. We should continue to rejoice and be glad in it. Father, y'all, we just thank right now for being with us, Father, y'all, and watching over us, Father, y'all. Father, y'all, we thank right now for giving us a heart, Father, y'all, a heart to be able to follow the desires of you, Father, y'all. Father, y'all, we just thank right now, Father, y'all, it's not all about us and our will, Father, y'all. We thank you for your will being done in our life, Father, y'all. Father, y'all, we just thank you right now, Father, y'all, for just constantly leading and guiding us, Father, y'all, into the true path, Father, y'all, the true path of righteousness, Father, y'all. Father, y'all, we counsel the assignment of the enemy right now concerning our lives, Father, y'all. Father, y'all, we counsel the assignment of the enemy concerning the battlefield in our mind, Father, y'all. We thank that we win that battle, Father, y'all, by letting the Yahushua Mashiach be established in our mind and in our hearts, Father, y'all. Father, y'all, we come against all forms of pride, Father, y'all. We come against all forms of pride or vanity that stems from it, Father, y'all. We come against all those routes that allow us to push us to have a self-will, Father, y'all. Father, y'all, we just think right now, Father, y'all, we begin to go and do the will of you, Father, y'all. We think right now we begin to witness, Father, y'all. We think that we begin to be a light, Father, y'all, unto those in darkness, Father, y'all. Father, y'all, we magnify your name because you're worthy, Father, y'all. Father, y'all, thank you right now, Father, y'all, for just accepting our praise, Father, y'all. You said you inhabit the praise of your people, Father, y'all. Father, y'all, thank you right now, Father, y'all, for just mirrored life, Father, y'all, for just waking me up this morning, Father, y'all. I personally thank you, Father, y'all, for everything that you've done as a whole, Father, y'all. Father, y'all, thank you right now, Father, y'all, for just allowing me, Father, y'all, to have the grace of you, Father, y'all, the mercy of you, Father, y'all, in my life, Father, y'all. Father, y'all, we thank you right now for the anointing of you, Father, y'all, being upon our life, Father, y'all. In the name of your son, Yahushua Mashiach, we pray. So be it. Shabbat shalom again, everybody. We're back. We're going to be discussing the Elohim of all flesh. This is what we're going to be discussing. We're going to be discussing pretty much how do you trust in the Most High when things begin to seem impossible is pretty much the dialogue today. And so I say the Elohim of all flesh because this is what he had to tell Jeremiah. Because remember, if you look into Jeremiah 32, if you go back like a few books, a few chapters prior to that, in the book of Jeremiah, you'll know that it was already prophesied that, Nebuchadnezzar would take over the land. And so like the Most High let him know that, look, you guys are going to serve the king of Babylon because of the sin that went forth. And so nobody wants to hear this. Of course, King Zedekiah don't want to hear this. So we're not going to tell it all. We know he gets thrown in prison, but he doesn't stop prophesying. And everything that Jeremiah is saying is it began to come to pass. We had been prophesying for years. Jeremiah, at this point, if you do the research, probably have been prophesying for probably at least a couple of decades. When you start looking at it, he didn't just start prophesying and things just start happening. So it's like when the Most High tells you something, if you really translate this into today's time, don't worry about it if it hadn't come to pass yet, or people mocking you, or I would say, making fun or trying to ridicule you, saying you stupid because this seems so far-fetched. This isn't what you go out for. It's like it goes back to whose report are you going to believe? Like, it doesn't matter how impossible things get. It doesn't seem like it's not going to happen. None of this stuff matters because the Ruach of the Mashiach in general is searching for faith. This is why when you go back to Hebrews 11:1, talks about the now faith. You know what I'm saying? It's like it is the substance of things hoped for. Like the faith you have is really the substance of things hoped for. Like faith brings things into fruition. Faith brings things into existence. So it's like the Most High is not even going to call anybody that doesn't operate in faith. Like, you may not seem like you got it in the beginning, but it's always something about you that actually awaken that faith that's inside of you. He didn't call people that's not going to actually stand on what he said, not going to believe him for, I would say, ludicrous things that seem to be far-fetched from people. Dealing with this right here, to translate this in today's time, you're looking at a man that was shut up in prison. King Zedekiah, he was shut up in prison. At this point right here, you have the Babylonian army outside of Jerusalem at this point. King Zedekiah is the last king of Jerusalem before Nebuchadnezzar and the Babylonians come in. we'll see later as they begin to talk about the mounds, which is the siege mound, which is pretty much city repos. They're coming in to take over because Zedekiah refused to, go along with what's supposed to be happening, the program. He wants to still do his own thing, but it's not going to happen. So he pissed at Jeremiah for even prophesying this. So Jeremiah is already in prison in this chapter. He had been talking about this prior. He's been put Jeremiah in jail, and he's still going on. And Most High still dealing with him while he's in prison. If you start looking at this, you'll realize who was Baruch. Jeremiah had a scribe, you know what I'm saying? It talks about the scribe in other chapters. The Most High is letting them know this is where it comes when he began to say, if there's anything too hard for me, when you think about it, I'm the Elohim of all flesh, because this seems so far-fetched. Like this city is being purchased almost in the mind of people that are on the outside looking in for nothing. Because it's like, why is the Most High saying purchase a city that's finna be overtaken? Though the city is finna be overtaken, as we read, and this has to be explained for ones that don't really go into the book of Jeremiah, as Baruch began to go purchase this city with the rights of redemption, he has to seal the deed to translate this, because they don't really talk about the breakdown of this, but we know commonly this is how you buy land. He has to seal this deed up for a latter time, because even though this is finna go down, there's faith that this place will be restored again, and it'll be in ownership of them. I mean, it'll be legally recorded that this has been purchased already. So when you look at this for what it's worth, none of this makes any sense. None of this makes any sense. It's almost equivalent to Russia coming in to overtake us, part of where we're at, and we're saying, okay, look, what sense does it make? It's over, but it's not over. It's not over till the Most High says over. So at this particular point in time, we're looking at a wicked nation. Like when you look at this, if you go way back to other chapters, like nobody wanted to hear anything that Jeremiah had to say when it came to prophesying, because he was prophesying what the Most High said, and it never lined up with what people wanted. And I'm saying this because if you really look into this, you'll realize that it makes no logical sense to purchase this land, because it's going to be overtaken. It's not overtaken now, but as we look into the chapter and we start reading, we'll see that it has to happen. This was prophesied chapters back, that the king of Babylon, we talked about this in a few studies back, Nebuchadnezzar was going to take over the land. And the Most High used Jeremiah to say, look, you're going to serve Nebuchadnezzar. This has to happen. This is how I'm going to bless you, though. Like, you got to do this. This is part of the punishment. But if you do this, I'm still going to bless you. Like, we're here based on our ancestors. Now, we don't have this prophecy that went forth here, but it doesn't matter where you at. If you're under the thumb or the rule of some type of judgment that went forth, the Most High will still move in the midst of that. But in this particular situation here, they can't escape this. Like King Nebuchadnezzar is not going to back off, because the Most High empowered him. He raised him up for this particular cause. And this is what people don't realize. This is why we look at when he said, I created the wicked one for the evil day in the book of Psalms. Like, all this stuff is done for his glory. Like, everything is happening for his glory. It goes back to, I think it was Hyrcanus and Alexander, who Paul said, I've delivered over unto Satan that I may teach them not to blaspheme. Like, Satan was used to punish them by an apostle. Like, we don't deal with this type of power because we have this surface type knowledge where everything is sweet and nobody really thinks about anything. It's so much stuff went on. You remember when Paul blinded the man for the season, when they was trying to teach the depth of the truth and everything, when he began to come against it, he said, you son of Belial, you should be blind for a season. The man went looking around, trying to get somebody to lead him around. Like, the enemy is used to do these things sometimes. But since we don't see this power display, we see everything always being blamed on the devil all the time, to the point where we don't even think about how the Most High can punish us and how he can use him to punish us, turning us over into his hands. Like, when we think about everything, because we've been taught through religion and Christianity and things that everything just happens, everything is just lovely, everything is just sweet. It's not always that way. Even sometimes when you're in the midst of a punishment based upon even something based upon the generation of things that went on, the Most High will move. If you realize what's going on, you have to know what's happening. Like, you got to know the handwriting on the wall. Like, when I look out and I see the people getting shot and killed and everything is going on and chaos is happening, I realize that the bigger picture is they operate in pride, most of them. Most of the people that you see, I haven't really heard anybody that's been shot or killed that proclaim to be serving the Most High. And I'm not saying that it's right what's happened to them, but what I am saying is when you follow the Most High, he protects you. He covers you to a great degree. There's a grace and there's an anointing that's on your life that the Most High attached to you when you're actually a follower of him. But when I see these things happen to the people, when I look at their lifestyle, they're not glorifying the Most High at all. It's all about them. You know, and this goes back to the regular street person to the rapper. It's nothing against them. Of course, we want them to be saved. We don't want these things to happen to them, but it's happening because of pride. It's happening because of self-will. And this is what's happening right here. Zedekiah can't do what he want to do at this point. He stepped into a situation where prophecy had already went forth. Like he started reigning, I think, at about 21. So he's kind of young during the beginning of his reign, but he's the last king of Judah. There's no other one. This is it. Like, this is when we go into captivity. This is when you start looking at everything that takes place around the time of Daniel, because you have, remember, King Darius, King Nebuchadnezzar. This is why all this stuff is happening. This is why when we get to Matthew, everybody is happening to come back and the city's in ruins, and you have Yahushua Mashiach happen to go to Pilate, Herod, and all these different ones, because there's so much confusion. The Sanhedrin government is there. James to the 12 tribes that are scattered abroad. All this stuff is happening. I'm explaining this is the beginning of captivity right here. In Jeremiah, this is the beginning of the reign of King Nebuchadnezzar. And you remember, he began to get so far beside himself to the Most High had to make him go out as a wild beast, because he had got to the point where I guess he thought he put himself in power, but he didn't. The Most High raised him up for a moment like this because he knows that the chastisement was going to have to come. So when we look at this right here, we look at a situation where though things may seem like it's over, it's not over. Always do what the Most High is telling you to do. It don't matter how it looks. It don't matter what it seems like to somebody else. If he's telling you to go do something, even though they may have said, look, it's not going to happen, it's impossible. They said it. But the scripture said with man, it may be impossible. It said with Yah, all things are possible to him that believe. If Yah said it, that sells it. It doesn't matter if it's over or they saying it's over. It doesn't matter if the light man is on his way to go to the pole. The Most High will make an emergency happen to get them to turn back around, and they'll never be able to cut the lights off until the Most High say, if you in his will and something happened that you wasn't abusing the finance, and he said, look, okay, I know you're having a rough time, he'll turn them around his tracks. We're talking about the man that's come to cut your power off. He'll turn around in his tracks. If you follow the Most High, you'll think, you'll be like, man, I know this was the Most High. He say the power ain't going off, and he meant it. It don't matter if you see him about to flip the switch. Hey, look, man, I can't do this. Something about this. He'll touch his heart and turn it. This is why you have to trust the Most High. It's so tricky out here. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what your next step may be. It's like you have to learn how to gravitate toward this childlike faith. You have to learn how to gravitate toward, no matter what it seems, come hell or hot water, I'm going to trust the Most High, even though it seems to be impossible. It's not impossible. It's never over until the Most High says it's over. There's always an opportunity. There's always a chance. So in this case here, you see a people that's about to purchase a city. Because when you look at Jeremiah, this place that he's going to purchase, when it said Anathoth, this is a land that was given to the sons of Aaron, the Levites, but it's in Benjamin. So Jeremiah, when you research it, it's kind of tricky, but if you go deeper, it looks like he's a Benjamite because the Benjamites was in that land. So, and you see this right here, you say, okay, this is what he's getting ready to purchase for a latter time, because at this point in time, it's over. Like the king does not want to hear it. What king do you know wants to submit to another king? Like, it's not going to happen. Like this is why we have the bump of head with mores, pastors, apostles. Like nobody wants to submit to the authority of another one, even though it may be coming biblical. They'll go out the way to make their own biblical revelation just so they can stand alone. That's like witchcraft in its finest, because you're using something to control a narrative that's not true so you can stand higher than people. And this is what the Most High hates. He hates the pride of people and the pride that's in people. And Jeremiah, he never paid attention to what was going on. Though he was frightened at times, he still did what he had to do, because this is why he's in jail, saying what the Most High want him to say. And it's like this. Sometimes people put you in the jail of their mind, the prison of their mind. Like they'll have you captive or have you on the outskirts, not dealing with you, because they'll think you stupid because you're doing what the Most High say do. he had to do this. And everything that's lined up shows you that he never cared about to the extent where he wasn't going to do it. But he was just like, just like anybody else thinking like, oh man, what's going to happen to me? But the Most High kept on encouraging me, kept letting them know, look, you got to do what I say do. It don't matter. Don't be dismayed at their faces. In certain chapters, he would say, don't worry about what they look like. Don't worry about what's going on. Everything that's going on, he would always tell them, look, follow the old path. Then you'll find good success. And the people were so against it till they was like, we will not follow the old path. They straight told Jeremiah, it's like they never wanted to listen to Jeremiah because he always had something to say that the Most High wanted him to do that was some type of correction. It was always, people don't want to be corrected when it comes to walking right. When it comes to things that you shouldn't be doing, it's like, no, I'm going to do it this way. But Jeremiah kept saying, no, you got to do it this way and you'll find success. But they said, no, we're not going to do it. So when you look at this right here, when we write the Elohim of all flesh, we're saying this because this seems like something so far-fetched when you know the history of why they're right here. At this point, it's going to be over. The last king is here. He's not wanting to submit to nothing. And you have Babylon. The Babylonians are literally right outside. They're ready to move in at any given time. And so we look at Jeremiah. I think we got Jeremiah 32 starting off at the first verse. Remember, Jeremiah is in prison.
All right. Jeremiah 32.
Okay, yeah. At the beginning, I think I said Zedekiah, but I meant to say Jeremiah was in prison, not Zedekiah. Zedekiah is the king, but Jeremiah is in prison at that time.
32:1. The word that came to Jeremiah from Yahuwah in the 10th year of Zedekiah, king of Judah, which was the 18th year of Nebuchadnezzar. For then the king of Babylon's army besieged Jerusalem, and Jeremiah the prophet was shut up in the court of the prison, which was in the king of Yehudah's house. For Zedekiah, king of Yehudah, had shut him up, saying, wherefore do you prophesy and say, thus says Yahuwah, behold, I will give this city into the hand of king of Babel, and he shall take it. And Zedekiah, king of Yehudah, shall not escape out of the hand of the Chaldeans, but shall surely be delivered into the king of Babel, and shall speak with him mouth to mouth, and his eyes shall behold his eyes. And he shall lead Zedekiah to Babel, and there shall he be until I visit him, says Yahuwah. Though ye fight with the Chaldeans, ye shall not prosper.
And see, look at this right here. Like, who wants to hear this? Like, Zedekiah don't want to hear this crap. He's like, no, man, you trying to tell me that, pretty much I'm going to be taken over by the Chaldeans? It's like, so he's pretty much probably never going to stop being mad at, at Jeremiah, because Jeremiah doesn't have nothing that seems to be good, but it's the truth. Like, it's not a good thing to hear that you're going to be, losing a battle or being taken in, captivity. Like, you don't want to hear this stuff, but at the same time, what do? Do you not tell them? This is for one that's been called to prophesy, say things that the Most High tell you to say. Like, it's not going to never, most of the time, be lined up with the person. Like, we always be looking for a confirmation from somebody, like even this message or anything that you may say. It's not, you don't have to have people praise you and say amen, on everything, because sometimes it's not for them to praise you and say amen on. Sometimes people just are not there. Like, sometimes you are the one that's telling them. And it's like, and you'll never get that constantly looking for a pat on the back every time you tell somebody what the Most High say, tell them. It's like, the person you telling to doesn't have to confirm what you're saying. Like, they don't even have to receive it. You just need to know that the Most High told you to say it. And when you know that he told you to say it and you're totally sure about that, it's not your job for them to accept it. And that's what you have to realize. It's only your job to deliver the message. Like, the mailman doesn't care if I don't want the light bill or not. Like, he has, that's how you have to look at that. He has zero care about whether or not I want the check or not, the light bill. His job is to put the mail in the box. My job is to get it. And when I get it and open it up and read it, that's the mail. Like, he didn't write the mail. He just delivered the message. And this is how we look at things when people may say things like what the Most High told me to tell you. You get mad at the person. That's the flesh. Like, you can't get mad at the person. Even though if the person is off, you still can't get mad at the person, because the person's intent is to tell you what the Most High say. That's supposed to be their intent. Now, I can't say, not speaking for ones that may be trying to control you. We're not talking about those. We're talking about, this isn't somebody that's trying to control. Remember, we're talking about Jeremiah, not false prophets. So when you X out false prophets and you look at listen to a word, because most of the time when you get mad, it's not somebody that you don't think is telling the truth. It's somebody that you think is telling the truth. And what makes you mad most of the time is that there's something in you that begins to feel bad about it. You begin to be convicted about the prophecy or the word or something they share with you that you should not do or you should be doing, or whatever it may be, and you get upset because you're kind of mad with yourself because the person knows. But you can't stop them from knowing the Most High used them to tell you. You're not mad about it. You're mad that they know. And so it kind of frustrates you. You're like, man, because it makes you think now you held, but you held still accountable to the Most High, not the person. They just a vessel. So Jeremiah is only doing what the Most High wants him to do. He's not really so-called focused on the king. He's focused on delivering the message. And that's what he has to do. It's like when you have a message to deliver, it doesn't matter who receives it and who don't. What matters is that you know for a fact the Most High told you to do it and to do it then. That's what matters. So basically, as we look at this, remember we're looking at I'm the Elohim of all flesh, and as you read this, you'll see what's finna come to pass and why the Most High says this.
6. And Jeremiah said, the word of Yahuwah came unto me, saying, behold, Hanamel, the son of Shalom, your uncle, shall come into you, saying, buy you my field that is Anathoth. For the right of the redemption is yours to buy. So Hanamel, my uncle's son, came to me in the court of the prison, according to the word of Yahuwah, and said unto me, buy my field, I pray you, that is Anathoth, which is in the country of Benjamin. For the right of inheritance is yours, and the redemption is yours. Buy it for yourself. Then I knew that this was the word of Yahuwah.
When you see this right here, just put you in the mind of, and I know this is far-fetched, but I'm just going to say what's on my heart. When I read this, it makes me think about the land. When the Most High, if it gets to a point in our time where we live in, and he takes us back to a land he had prepared for us, it doesn't matter who inhabits the land and all that transpire in our mind and everything and say, oh, well, they over there and this and that. None of that stuff matters. When the Most High has something set for you, it's going to be for you. I don't care if it changed hands 1,000,000 times. Because when you say that matters, what you do is belittle the power of the Most High. You're saying he can't do it because so much has transpired. He doesn't operate on our time in the way we operate. He makes it right. If something goes wrong and the Most High said he gonna make it right, he makes it right in spite of it change hands millions of times. It don't matter who's in whatever land he's taking us to. When the time comes, we'll be there. That's how that works. It doesn't matter what tribe or what type of people. It don't matter who they are. They got to go, and this is how he operates. We don't focus on the logic when it comes to the Most High, because what's logical is what he said at this point. Because he begins to make everything go away that bind it, where it's like legally you can't do it. Like everything is going to be already set up where you don't have to worry about who's going to be stopping you. And this right here is all going to work out if you do what the Most High say do. Now in this place here, if they begin to skip these steps and he told them this, then nothing happened. But this is what the Most High is saying do, because he's saying the right of redemption is here. Like you have the right to redeem it, and it's an inheritance for you. And this is what he's doing to set things up so that for a latter time, they'll be able to come back and inhabit it, even though it's going to be an issue now.
9. And I bought the field of Hanamel, my uncle's son, that was in Anah, and weighed him the money, even 17 shekels of silver. And I subscribed the evidence and sealed it, and took witnesses and weighed him the money in the balances. So I took the evidence of the purchase, both that which was sealed according to the commandment and custom, and that which was open. And I gave the evidence of the purchase into Baruch, the son of Nerayahu, the son of Masayahu. Let's see. Sorry. Oh, okay. In the sight of Hanamel, my uncle's son, and in the presence of the witness that subscribes the sefer of the purchase before all the Yehudim that sat in the court of the prison.
And so this was recorded. Excuse me for the name. Some of these names that translate, I didn't look up a lot of them. So focused on this actual topic, looking at the Elohim of all flesh. But basically, everything was recorded. Everything was set up legally. All this is legally binding. Like this isn't just some hearsay type deal where you're just gonna go do something. This happens legally right here. So when you do things in the Most High, this is how things go now. like when you look at this, it talks about like nobody's letting them borrow this and stuff. This is why you begin to think about, the borrower, is slave to the lender. When you think about all this stuff, you see what's set up. When somebody gives you something, it's yours. Like when you get blessed with something, it's yours. Doesn't it make sense when you get blessed with a house called land that there should be a title or a deed attached to it? Like it shouldn't be some paperwork. Paperwork means bondage. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it's wrong, but I'm just saying this is where the true blessing comes in when somebody gives you something. We was at a church one time when a couple gave another couple a car and they gave them the title. Like it was no payments or anything behind it. I mean, it was over. Like when somebody give you land, they give you a deed. That's it. And that's it. Like there's no tricks to it. And the Most High is showing you how to do business right here. This is business. Like everything else we've been taught to be marketed and to accept them. We've been taught to be targeted basically, and they've been taught to market us, and we've been taught to do things over time, which puts us in bondage because of the interest and everything that's attached to it. But the Most High even tells us, if you lend your brother some money, don't charge him interest because he's not with it. He knows that that's bondage. That's why he says don't do it. If he tells us don't do it to each other, you think logically you should be paying it? I mean, you really think about it, but it's nothing to really hear because like, well, it's like who gonna not, it ain't no who gonna not do it. It's like we just put ourselves in these positions where, we've been taught to do it this way, like because you want it now. And you don't want to go through whatever shame and embarrassment it takes to save the money or do what you got to do to get to a certain point to get certain things. So you go to Rent-A-Center, you go to some of these places and they make, they pretty much make a fool out of you because you pay $3,000 for a TV you can go get for $500 because you ain't got to give them $10 a week for forever, pretty much. And this is what I'm saying, because when you see this right here, it lines up with everything. Like this isn't something that, that has to be dealt with or come back to bite them in the butt. This is something that just held for a later time and is already ownership attached to it. And this is how the Most High, he deals in ownership. He doesn't deal with us letting the world, begin to just take advantage of us pretty much. So,
13. And I charged Baruch before them, saying, thus says Yahuwah Sabaoth, the Elohim of Yashar'al, take these evidences, this evidence of the purchase, both which is sealed, and the evidence which is open, and put them in an earthen vessel, that they may continue many days. But thus says Yahuwah Sabaoth, the Elohim of Yashar'al, houses and fields and vineyards shall be possessed again in this land.
Now you see that it say again in this land. It's saying again in this land because it knows that, this land, it's going to be a problem. Like he knows already, he's talking from a standpoint of the Chaldeans, the Babylonians taking over. But it should be possessed again in this land. Like the Most High, it's not over until he says over. It doesn't matter if it seems like everything goes to ruin. He's still going to work it out. This is why when you look at Malachi, when everything comes on the scene, when you don't see the book of Maccabees there, it's a missing space there. And the missing space doesn't show how they begin to come back into the land. Because when they come back into the land, the city is pretty much in ruins. When we go fast forward to the book of Matthew, when you see all these different kings and the Sanhedrin government, it's all set up this way because they came back home. They came back home and they came back to things that were out of order. And so the Most High knows how this goes. So he said, look, so much confusion is going to happen. I'm going to give you proof. And this is the deed to the land.
16.
Yeah.
Now, when I had delivered the evidence of the purchase unto Baruch, the son of Neriah, or Neriah, I prayed unto Yahuwah, saying, O Adonai Yahuwah, behold, you have made the heavens and the earth by your great power and stretched out arm, and there is nothing too hard for you. You show loving kindness into thousands and recompense the iniquity of the fathers into the bosom of their children after them.
We don't keep reading, even though it doesn't stop, because it'll keep going all the way to 25. But we just wanted to get to the part where he says that anything too hard for you. And the rest of this is just a long paragraph about them coming out of the land of Mizraim and all this stuff. So we're not going to go that far down. The only thing he's doing is explaining how he brought them out of the land with a mighty hand. And we saw how the Most High did it. Everything that he done, he brought the plagues against Pharaoh and all that. But the point I'm trying to get to is that the Most High's power, is not limited because of man's mind. Like he doesn't limit anything. Like it says that anything too hard for you. And to get to that, just for sake of reading a whole chapter, that's why I stopped, because it just keeps going. And when you look at this right here, it's just showing how the Most High brought them out with a strong hand. This is simply explaining to them about getting to that land flowing with milk and honey. Even though they got there, they still was not believers. Like you still had them a whole lot of doubts. Remember, a whole generation had to die out. You know, when you hear the reports, Joshua and Caleb are the only ones that come back with a good report. They come back with a great report. The people come back talking about pretty much, you know, there's giants there and all this kind of stuff, and they were just frightened and scared. Joshua and them come back with a great report talking about the, you know, the excitement. They looked at the glass being half full, and the people looked at the glass being half empty. When you look at it like that, it's like everybody had complaints. But in the midst of all that, the Most High was still there. If you look at what went on back then, he kept having to do things. It's like it kept being so much confusion. You had ones dying. Remember when they had to hold the rod up and look up at Moses, and all those that looked up lived, and everybody else died by the being bit by vipers or snakes? Like so much stuff kept happening over and over and over again. All this stuff was going on, yet the Most High was still with them. He was still with them, but they were dying out. You look at the beginning of this. Remember when Moshe goes up to talk to the Most High, when he's up there and all this confusion is going on, Joshua is right there with him, and all this confusion is going on, and like everything is happening, and they just totally flip, wanting to know what happened to Moses, wanting to know who they gonna serve. They got Aaron to fashion this golden calf while they melted all their gold, and now they're down there parading around. This is when he had to establish the priesthood. He say these people need some order. They need some type of order. That's why he say, who is on the Most High side, come with me. This is when they begin to start slaying ones that had something to do with what went on. So we look at all this that went on. The Most High had to do so much. People were killed in the process of trying to do their own thing, when all they had to do was listen to the Most High. And when you fast forward after this, after the golden calf, and they start walking through the wilderness, when he start giving them water from the rock, when you them being led by a cloud and fire, pillar of fire and cloud, it's like the whole while they still was bickering and murmuring and disputing. He giving them food. Manna is coming down from heaven. It's like they're eating for free. He said, don't save it, just have faith to the next day. And they're trying to save it, and it's turning into worms or something. It's like the people kept on going against the Most High. And when you fast forward to Jeremiah, it's the same breed of people. Like they still, it's worse at this point, because now everything is to the point where everybody wants to just do their own thing, and they'd rather listen at the counsel of man than the counsel of somebody that's from the Most High. So Jeremiah had to go be sent to them to say, look, order is coming. The Most High let you know how he wants you to be, but yet the people had to go in bondage because of disobedience, but the Most High was still with them. Even though you've been put in bondage, I still have a way out. You have to submit to the bondage now, but they didn't want to submit to the bondage. The king doesn't want to hear any of this, and he pissed at Jeremiah, throws him in prison, but at the same time, the Most High said, in the midst of all this, even though the people are wicked and everything, because think about it, who's going to have the land? The people. So he still gets this set up and say, I'm going to still set all this up. We're going to get the deed to the land. So for a latter time, it'll be yours to have, and just seal it for many days later. So if we fast forward and get down, we're at the position where now when you get to verse 24, when they start talking about the mound, when you go to different translations, it's siege mounds. It's pretty much the ones that's coming in to repossess the land, or to possess the land, pretty much. They're coming in upon you now to just totally take over. Because it's like you don't want to submit. Like King Zedekiah wants to do his own thing. When you research this and start looking at him, he don't want to go along with what's going on. He just wants to do it his way. He's the king, and he's not bound to another king, but he has to, because the Most High has them set in power to chastise them. He has the Babylonians there to chastise them. If other than that, if this thing wasn't prophesied, would you think a man like Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego would be in Babylon? Like they're there because of the prophet that went forth. Like this is why the Most High was still able to bless Daniel in the midst of this. He still prayed 3 times a day. He still didn't want to, defile himself with the food of the king. So he still didn't want to bow down to anybody. Darius or nobody. He bowed down to no king. Daniel wrote it out, and he did it the right way. So it shows you, if Daniel did this, all the other people didn't. They went south. They pretty much did what the king said do, but Daniel stood his ground. He wasn't trying to go out like that. So this is me showing you that when we go into bondage, it doesn't mean the Most High is not there. It just means that something went forth, like we're here because of our ancestors. but it don't mean that the Most High can't, bless us in the process of everything that's going on. None of this stuff matters if you do what the Most High say do. If you're being led by the Ruach, he's going to work things out. It's not so much as what's going to happen in the flesh now, because if you're led by the Ruach, you're not going to try to go after it and fulfill the lust of the flesh, and the deeds of the flesh won't be manifesting in your life. This is what's going on. Like, they have to submit to the punishment. But since they won't, now it's time to be totally overtaken. And the Most High is not backing off at all. And so it's good to hear wisdom. It's good to hear knowledge from prophets, from those that have wisdom in general, because when they come, they're speaking from heaven. They're not speaking from the earth. They're speaking what the Most High wants them to say, and it's going to be over your head most of the time. That's when you have to trust whether or not you know that this is from the Most High. Pray about it. Anything you got to do, but don't despise prophecy, because it could save your life. And at this point, it's just not looking too good. But Jeremiah, like, he's still standing his ground. He's not going to bend at all. He reminded me of Paul, how he never bent when he began to come into the truth. He just kept rolling, kept going. They kept going into prison. It didn't matter if he was in prison or not. He still stood with the Most High. And Jeremiah's doing the same thing. It doesn't matter if he's bound or not. He's still a bound servant of the Most High. He's physically bound, but his spirit is not bound. So we'll fast forward, skipping that whole paragraph about Mizraim, about which is them coming out of the land of Egypt and everything. We'll go to Jeremiah chapter. We'll go to verse 24, basically.
All right, 32 and 24. Behold the mounts, they are coming to the city to take it, and the city is given to the hand of the Chaldeans that fight against it, because of the sword and of the famine and of the pestilence. And what have you spoken is come to pass, and behold, you see it. And you have said unto me, O Adonai Yahuwah, buy the field for money and take witnesses, for the city is given to the hand of the Chaldeans.
Now you see that? They buying a city that's given into the hand of a whole nother nation. This is what I'm explaining. It don't matter, we in America, and the Most High got something set up for us out of America. None of that matters to the Most High. That matters to us. Word about what land we in, what nation we in. None of this stuff matters. It doesn't matter that the United States has been formed, that they formed other nations. None of that matters. When the Most High says he's going to do something, he'll make every land around submit to the authority of what he said. This land is my people's land, and they'll all acknowledge it. This is because who are you saying is greater? The Most High or these governments that have been set up? You saying that because they've been set up that their power is greater than the power of Yah? That's what you'll be saying if you're worried about who owns the land now. This isn't how he operates. If he says there's a land to go back to, you'll go back and get it. It doesn't matter what transpired. This is why you have to look at this, because this land is not theirs in a physical sense, but legally the Most High is giving it to them. And he's going to honor what he told them to do because they followed the instruction of the Most High.
26. And came the word of Yahuwah unto Jeremiah, saying, behold, I am Yahuwah, the Elohim of all flesh. Is there anything too hard for me?
And I stopped there because we know that, we'll have to, this never stopped. Like, this chapter doesn't stop none of this conversation. It started prior to chapter 32, and it goes beyond chapter 32. It just keeps going, and it keeps going. It never stops. But you have to understand that what we just explained was the people doing something that doesn't make logical sense. Like, in your natural mind, you wouldn't go buy something that is actually going to be overtaken by somebody else and think it'll be respected that you bought it. But in the Most High sense, he's saying in his knowledge that he have, being the wisest one of all, he's saying, look, even though it looks that way, buy it because I told you to buy it. Don't buy it because of what's going on. Buy it to be obedient. This is why we look at it this way. And so anyway, that was just showing that, he's saying, no matter what goes on, in the end, it's all going to work out. It doesn't matter how it looks. It doesn't matter what transpired. These instructions are followed, and the Most High is going to honor that the land belongs to you. This is why it goes back to when we talk about a land and everything. It's not going to be any issues because see, what we have is a lot of doubters anyway. There's nothing to doubt when you think about this. You have to look at when the time comes and the time is right. The Most High already got the situation set up. You don't know who he talked to, who he set up to get this lined up. All you know is that when the time comes, the Most High is going to perform that he said. If he said it's going to happen, he's going to perform and it's going to come to pass. We finished 27. So let's look at Jeremiah 33 and 3. But we're just trying to drill home is having faith in Yah at this point. We're trying to make sure that doesn't matter what men say, make sure that you're dealing with the Most High. When you're dealing with the Most High, you skip all worldly knowledge, and every lick of wisdom that you get, instruction that you get is coming straight from the Most High. So we look at Jeremiah 33:3.
Call unto me and I will answer you and show you great and mighty things which you know not.
And this is just skipping to that. And this is just a thought saying, Selah, like, call unto the Most High and he'll answer you. Show you great and mighty things that you know not, because you're calling him because you need help. So when you look at all this stuff and you begin to line up with everything, you have to have that dog mentality, that you have to have that, I don't even know how to explain it, but you have to have an amazing type of belief in the Most High. And because there's so much stuff going on now, now we have to fight through more than what they had to fight through a century ago, decades ago. Even, I would skip a few decades. You go back and you think about 20 years ago, it was less to deal with. Social media wasn't even on the forefront. Like, people weren't walking around taking selfies, and you can't make a move without being put on TV and stuff. Like, it's a lot of stuff going on now. Any move you make now is going to get posted some kind of way, and everybody in the world is going to see it. Like, back then, it was a better situation. Like, you had people, even when I look at my study habits back then, you had to go to the library, you had to have physical books, and you had to actually do things the way that was going to stick. We call it the hard way, but it stuck because you had to go through some work to research and to do things. You couldn't just Google it. You had to go get a dictionary. You had to go get an encyclopedia, and everything had to happen. And those things would stick in your mind more because of the fact of the energy it took to do it. Like, so it's like you just kind of know these things, So we're going to go to Mark chapter 10. We're talking about blind Bartimaeus, and this is just showing persistence. This is on the outside of what that is. That was being obedient. This is you showing persistence. This is you saying that no matter who's trying to stop me, I'm going to get hold to the Most High. I'm going to get hold to, the Mashiach, so I can get help. Like, I'm not trying to hear no for an answer. Like, either way it go, you're going to get it if you stay persistent. If you stay persistent, like, he inhabits the praise of his people. If you just form a habit of praising the Most High, if you would even just do that, the Most High will have some form of grace and mercy upon you. Like, you can't let what's going on around you stop you and just rob from you and steal from you. It doesn't matter if you got all the answers. It takes no energy to praise the Most High. It just takes you to abase yourself, to humble yourself and say, look, I'm going to praise the Most High. We're talking physical praise. We're talking in your mind as you go along, you're acknowledging the Most High and the things that you do. But most of all, if you do that physical praise, like you set this time aside and you physically praise and worship the Most High in a physical way, he inhabits that. He looks down at that at a time of need, when you need something, when it seems like the grain should go against you, or you went against the grain. He's going to step in with the grace and mercy based upon that. It's not tit for tat. It just shows that he inhabits the praise of his people. No matter what. This is why when we talk about all flesh, you remember when Peter and them began to talk, he began to mirror what Joel said. He said, this is from the prophet Joel. He said, in the last days, he said, I'm going to pour out my spirit upon all flesh. And this is when you go back to Genesis, when he say, all flesh has come to an end. Round Noah, he said, I'm pissed off with mankind. I'm disappointed. Now it's coming into all flesh. I'm about to take them out of here. A flood is coming. Like, when you start looking at this right here, you start saying, well, who is the Elohim of all flesh? It's the Most High. He sits high and look low. Like, he doesn't discriminate. Like, when you begin to praise the Most High, the blessings are going to come. It's just that simple. Like, at a time when you think it shouldn't happen, it will happen, but you have to be persistent. You have to have faith. The Most High gravitates toward faith. It's like a magnet to the Most High when you have faith. When you have faith in things. Now, don't get me wrong. We're not talking about the power of man. We're talking about having faith in the Most High. It's to the point where you really have to make sure that, hey, look, is this the will of you? Because if your faith level is so strong, things will come to pass and you may get in trouble. You got to make sure that you line it up and let that be governed with the will of the Most High. Because think about it, people are operating in faith everywhere. But if you have faith in the Most High, that's when those supernatural things begin to happen, things that seem to be ludicrous. Get a letter in the mail and somebody saying, look, we have canceled your mortgage. Like, it's over. You no longer owe. You have a zero balance. These things happen. Like, I mean, it happened because you are a praiser, because you are a worshiper. You're somebody that stays in the presence of the Most High in your private time, even if it's 5 minutes a day, you take the time out to praise, worship, meditate on the word of the Most High, it puts a certain anointing on you. Like it actually does something in the spirit realm that gets things done behind the scenes. So we're looking at Mark 10. We talk about blind Bartimaeus. We're talking about persistence. We're talking about not stopping, even though people are saying that's stupid, don't do that. Stay persistent. If you know the Most High is saying do it, don't listen to them, block them out. So Mark chapter 10, starting at verse 46.
Mark 10:46, and they came to Jericho, and as he went out of Jericho with his disciples and a great number of people, blind Bartimaeus, the son of Timaeus, sat by the highway side begging. And when he heard that it was Yahusha the Nazarite, he began to cry out and say, Yahusha, son of David, have mercy on me.
He's saying, have mercy on me. He's crying out. Go ahead.
And many charged him that he should hold his peace, but he cried the more a great deal, Son of David, have mercy on me. They
told him to shut up, and guess what he started doing? He cranked it up. You know what I mean? So this is how it goes. Like when it seems stupid, keep moving. Don't stop. Do not stop for a second. The more you hear that chatter, the more you know you're doing the right thing, especially trying to reach the Most High. Somebody telling you something negative, and you're trying to get help. This man is blind. He needed his sight back. He was out begging. Probably because he has no assistance, because he can't see how to go produce income to make money, to be able to make a living. Go ahead, babe.
And Yahusha stood still and commanded him to be called. And they called the blind man, saying unto him, be of good comfort, rise, he calls you. And he, casting away his garment, rose and came to Yahusha. And Yahusha answered and said unto him, what will you that I should do unto you? The blind man said unto him, Adonai, that I might receive my sight.
Now at this point, think about it now. Just put your mind on this right here for a minute. He was out begging. Blind Bartimaeus was out begging. What did he do? What I told you, money can't buy help, remember? So he skipped some money. He got money because remember, this is why, when you start dealing, I think the treasury was, one of them was the treasury, but the way it was set up, they always had a money bag when they was with the Messiah. They always had a money bag. So he's not asking for any money. At this point, he's like, forget the money. What I need is help. So he was begging. But when he saw the Mashiach, he skipped what he was doing and said, look, man, forget about this money. I need to see it. I can go make me some money. So this is what I'm saying. Like he's going to a whole nother level. He's fast forwarding to when I talk about money can't buy help, he's going to what he really need now. Go ahead, babe.
And Yahusha said unto him, go your way. Your belief has made you whole. And immediately he received his sight and followed Yahusha in the way.
So that's the thing. So he said he received his sight and followed Yahusha in the way. So he knew he had to have it. He was persistent. So what he really wanted to do was see, but he had to, I would say, just resort to just begging because he couldn't see. So he said, look, I have no way to make a living, so I'm going to beg for money. But if I can get my sight, this showing you that this guy is sorry. He don't want to be like this, but since he's like this, he's saying, look, if I can let go of this sickness, this imperfection, that I can actually get to a point where I can make my own money. So it got to a point where he just kept calling, even though people were saying don't do it, he kept doing it. He kept doing it. And you have to relate that to things that you have going on in life. People are saying don't do this and don't do that. You have to do what you know is right for you. Like, you don't need to look for the approval of people that's not your counselors. Like, it's different when the Most High has somebody set up, parents, certain ones that you get counsel from, but it gets to a point where even as you get older, the Most High may show you some we can't see when you're of age, and you saying, look, I can do this, and even if it look like we're doubting, you have to still have the faith to do that. What the Most High told you to do, you can't let any form of doubt stop you, because most of the time, doubt is not personal. It's not personal when people doubt. Like, no one's thinking this guy's going to receive no sight. They tell him to leave. What you messing with him for? He's trying to go out and do something different, but they don't realize that's what he's there for. Like, why are you stopping him? He's blind. He's trying to get help too. But he kept being persistent. He kept being persistent. It goes back to the lady that said, if I can just touch the hem of his garment, I can be made whole. They had the issue of blood for 12 years. She just kept till she touched him. And she got healed right then. Because he said, behold, power has left me. And he was wanting to know who's bumping into me. And they saying, look, everybody's bumping into you. What do you mean? He said, but I felt power leave me. So her touch was a touch of faith. She was trying to get healed. See, when you really persistent, the Most High will do it. And in anybody's life, if they saw any miracle that was performed, even in our life, when we think about it, anything we did, we were persistent. When it came to somebody being healed, when it came to something happening, it was because of being persistent. When I think about being in Birmingham at the hospital, I see persistence. We're down there on our knees on a regular basis, praying, believing the Most High for healing. This is what we're believing for. And we're on one accord, and the Most High did that. This is evidence. Like, this is recorded. This is something that can't be said. No, it happened. And this is what we know. And this is saying this because I know that when you're persistent, the Most High will do it. The Most High will do it. When you believe and you really believe, it's going to go the way that it's supposed to be going. And if the Most High see fit, he's going to make it happen. It goes back to me, believing that a check come in the mailbox. And we go one day, we ride, and I said, let's check the mailbox. And the check is there. Check is not supposed to come to me, but the check does. Because of the faith in the Most High. Now, it's not anything logical. Anybody logical, you ain't supposed. The Most High did, and that was no. I didn't have to pay it back. There was no feedback. There was no mouth. There was nothing. Nobody had no complaint. The check was mine, and that's how it works. It was nothing to. It didn't come back to hunt me later or nothing. This is how the Most High works. He doesn't put you in a bind. When you believe for the Most High to do something, it's gonna come to pass. And this is why you can't let man stop you from what the Most High told you. If the Most High told you, if he said it, that sells it. There's nothing nobody can do to change it but you. What happens is people get in your head, you start doubting, and things go left. And this is why the Most High, he doesn't deal with doubt, he deals with faith. And so we looked at this to say that, behold, I'm the Elohim of all flesh. And that means that. Like, all flesh means all flesh. If anybody's standing in your way, or anybody has the foot on your neck, or anything going on legally against you that shouldn't be happening, he said, the king heart is in my hand. I can turn it like the rivers of water in whichever manner I will. So if he can do that, that means it's settled. You just have to submit yourself under the Most High and realize that there's nobody bigger. There's nobody greater. If you realize that, it's over. I mean, all bets are off. At this point in this season where I'm at, I'm believing the Most High to do some great and miraculous things. I'm believing the Most High to do some things that are amazing, some things that only Elohim of all flesh can do. This is where I'm at in this season. This is what I profess out of my mouth. In this season, I'm believing the Most High to do some things like never before. I'm believing the Most High to do some things that a testimony will come behind. And this is what we're saying. This is what we're at now. Like, everything is ready. It's a time frame now where we're in when it seems like it's distractions and seems like everything is going on. The Most High doesn't stop sitting on the throne. All those things are to limit you. You still have to know that nothing has changed with him. He's still the same. He will move every time. I've seen him move in the courtroom. He'll move every time. I mean, sometimes he will move every time if you believe it. It doesn't even matter. The Most High sets up to a point where if you're obedient, he's going to reward you for it. And so you just have to know that there's nothing too hard for the Most High. And you have to believe him against the grain, against the noise, against everybody that's saying he can't do it. It's, who are you? Do you trust that the Most High called you? Do you trust that he talks to you? Do you trust that the Most High deals with you? If you do, then you have to trust him in the midst of everything, because if it was already set up where everybody was going to do right, he would need no minister. He would need no prophets. Like, prophesying is for the edification of us. And this is what we have to know for the actual church of the Mashiach. It's us, the body of the Mashiach. We're the ones that need these words, the edification. We need this for the upbuilding, for the construction of us. This is what we have to have, but it's lacking. It's lacking because it's so much foolishness has been attached to that name and that title to it. Most time people despise it. This is why the word had to say, despise not prophesying, like the prophets, those that are set up with the gift of prophecy, I would say now, need to actually do what the Most High told them to do when the time comes. Do not be looking for nobody to agree with you when you prophesy. That's a downfall. This is the downfall of anybody that's operating a gift of prophecy, sitting there looking for a comfort from the one that the Most High told you to tell it to. You have to get the assurance from the Most High. When you know that he's told you to do it, and this is why you can't mix it up, it's business. It's the business of the Most High. Business, when I talk about business and family not mixing, I talk about how a lot of times people get done wrong by members of the family, certain friends and stuff, because most of the time they don't take it serious because they're looking at you in a light that's not a representative of the Most High. So you can't try to get no pat on the back. Don't have a dialogue with somebody that the Most High get. If he didn't give you a dialogue, don't go, because dialogue cross up the word that the Most High, it makes you add to it. Don't add, say, look, this is all he gave me. We can have a conversation, but he didn't give me no explanation to it. He told me to tell you this. That gets you off the hook. But when people start asking for dialogue, what they're saying, I don't really believe you, so tell me more. There's no more to tell you. This is what he said, tell you, and this is it on that. We can talk. I can probably assume some things, but this is what he told me to give you. Now, you got to do what you got to do with that. And this gets you off the hook, and it makes the person be accountable for the word that the Most High gave you to give them when you're not looking for some congratulations from them. That's not how the Most High works. The Most High usually tells prophet things and know that with the gift of prophecy things that the other person usually don't understand sometimes. We're looking for them to confirm it directly. Like, that's not how the Most High works. And so we have to know that this actually will help your faith level if you call to operate in the gift of prophecy by just doing what the Most High say do. Like, he didn't call you to be a prophetic coach. He said, go tell the word, and then when you tell the word, they'll understand how to, deal with it, pray about it, put it on the shelf, whatever they got to do. That's between them and the Most High. And this is how you make the word be more effective. It's because one plant, another water, but it's Yah that's going to give the increase, not you. Like, people are wanting you to give them everything at once. When you tell them one thing, the Most High say, it doesn't always have to be a conversation. And that's the thing. Like, you're not there for that, because that crosses up and gets you into putting your spin on what the Most High told you to tell. He may tell you one thing. Most High told me something about this was going on. Like, you at this shop and this was happening and this went on. And that's it. When you start trying to dig deeper and all that stuff, it'll cross up everything. Let them think on it. And the Most High give them what they need to get confirmation on that. Don't put the weight on you because the word came to give from the Most High for you to give to them. Don't let them put you on the hook of explaining it all to them, because the Most High don't give you no explanation. That's all he gave you. Somebody else may have to come around and do that part. You did the part you had to do. And when we do this is how you minister to people, where you're not telling them what you have to say. And this goes for ones that are friends, because, it's okay to talk as friends, but when we finish talking as what the Most High gave me, now we're talking as friends. This isn't attached to that prophecy. This is just us having a conversation. And it has to be told that way, because you'll start putting your own, and you'll mislead them. You'll start telling them something that the Most High ain't even saying. Like, even if it's a prophetic dream, it's prophetic from the Most High, that's it. Like, don't go trying to interpret it all at one time if he didn't give you that right then. Like, you put yourself in a position where it may not even mean what you're saying like that. But, and that could be a thin line between pride and you doing what he say do, because if you just be okay with that, like, it's okay that the Most High give you just a negative something. Like, and don't go trying to fix it. Just give it to him and move on. And because this is what we need. We need, the prophetic word coming forth. We need to get back to true praise and worship of the Most High, back to in our prayer closet, meditating on the word. These are the things that's going to help you to make it through when times begin to seem like they're trying time. And pretty much that ends it. We just wanted to talk about, behold, I'm the Elohim of all flesh. Father Yah, we thank you for the word that went forth today. Father Yah, we thank you right now for just being with us as we depart. Father Yah, once again, I thank you right now, Father Yah, this is the day that you have made, and I should continue to rejoice and be glad in it. Father Yah, we magnify your name because you are worthy. Father Yah, I just want to let you know that there's none like unto you, Father Yah. Father Yah, we just want to let you know that from our heart, Father Yah, we just begin to just magnify your name. We glorify your name right now, let you know that you alone are the Elohim of all flesh. Yes, and with that we say,